Hi, so if you're seeing this video from me, it means either I have dropped off your Yamuna Body Rolling Balls or they are being shipped in the mail to you as we speak. So I just wanted to go over a few things so that you'll know what to do when you receive your package. Of course, these are reinflatable balls, which sounds pretty straightforward, but is not always. So I just wanted to go over a few tips. So depending on what I shipped to you and where, maybe all of your balls will be coming deflated, maybe all of them will be coming inflated. If they do come deflated, they're probably gonna look something like this. Some of you did order a pump from me. This is what the Yamuna Pump looks like. You can use a pump that you would use for volleyball or soccer ball, and so many of you have those at home, and so you requested not to have this pump sent to you. I like these pumps just because they're small and portable and really easy to use, and they're just what I'm used to. So if you change your mind sometime down the line and you want one, but they are $20, which is kind of, I'm not too crazy about that, but it is what it is. So in order to inflate a ball, they just recommend that you moisten the needle. So you can use either, something like a Surgy Lube or some sort of lubricant, or honestly just water or saliva will do the trick. And then you'll just simply insert the pump into the valve to pump things up. Then you just simply get started. So it is hard, I think, for people to initially understand maybe how much to inflate things. And when I'm initially pumping up balls, I will either use my hands or just so I can do other things. Sometimes I will just stand up and just kind of either step on the ball with my foot or with my heel. Sometimes if the ball is having a difficult time inflating, it may be you just need to kind of like open it up a little bit and move it around. But the great thing is that you can deflate these and reinflate them, which makes it wonderful for travel. So I have taken my body rolling balls all over the world. I usually take at least one. I usually take my black ones, but if I'm going somewhere particularly where I'm concerned about my neck, I do usually bring a gold or a larger ball for me, because that really helps me get some length through my spine after traveling. So here I am pumping, pumping, pumping. When you have a new ball, some of the balls that I've sent, I had inflated before. I wiped everything down with bleach before I sent them out, just in case. Better to be safe than sorry right now. But you may notice when you first inflate these that it does look like there's kind of a seam. That will start to just disappear over time. I usually, the first time I will inflate things, so this is a gold ball, I've actually overinflated it. So we can see it actually looks pretty hard, but I'm gonna overinflate it and leave it that way for a little bit. And what that'll help do is kind of smooth this little seam out that you see. When I go to actually practice, this is how you're able to deflate things. You just simply unscrew the needle from the pump and insert the needle back into the ball. So how much pressure would I want in this gold ball to start with? I want it to have some give, okay? So maybe here's my starting point. You can see that I can compress this relatively easy, okay? And you can see then when I sit on the ball, maybe how much it compresses. I know it may be hard to kind of see, but this ball should be relatively comfortable, okay? Since this is the softer ball, whenever we're doing routines, if you're still experiencing pain anytime we're using the gold ball, let more air out of it. Sometimes when the balls are newer, because they do have this seam, they may be a little bit misshapen when you let a lot of air out of it, but it shouldn't preclude you from being able to do the routine. So now you can see, since this is a newer ball and I've deflated it, it's kind of got this little bump here. But letting the air out, as you can see, makes the ball softer, it makes it more tolerable. Silver ball, how tight do we want a silver ball? You'll notice if you got a silver ball as well, again, should be able to compress it. It inflates and deflates the same way, but you're gonna notice the resistance in this ball is higher than in the gold ball. Okay, the plastic is thicker. So when we do a lot of lower body routines, we're putting a lot of weight down and we want a lot of pressure through those large muscles, the large strong muscles and things like our hamstrings and quads, this is gonna be our go-to ball. Some people will never be able to tolerate this silver ball in any of their routines and will always stay with gold, and that is perfectly fine. Last but not least, black ball. I think I deflated some people's black balls If they're deflated, simply fill them up. I would say this is actually a little too squishy. I think that's probably how it came filled from the manufacturer. So I'm simply going to screw my needle back on. Again, they recommend moistening the needle, inserting it into the black ball, and give it just a couple pumps here. And again, you want it to compress some, but you don't want it super squishy. But of course, it depends on how you're tolerating the routine. So especially when we go to things like calves, that can be really sensitive when we're using these balls, and of course, just let some air out if you need to. One thing I will say about these pumps is it looks like a great intuitive thing to like store it and stick the needle through the back of this, but don't do it because it'll actually damage the pump. So if you have any questions about how to inflate your balls, or are they inflated enough, again, it's not something like when you're inflating a bike tire and we need some measurement or anything like this. It really does depend on how you're feeling, you know. So once you get started with some of the routines, if you're like, just not really feeling this, or I just feel like this ball is so squishy, then put some more air in. If you're trying to do a routine and it's too painful, you know, first, of course, check with me, am I really using the right ball? But if you are, then we can just always take some air out. So again, let me know if you have any questions, and happy rolling.